Here's how I just use my fancy spreadsheet to help a client buy a brand new AP. When clients ask us to shop for things for them, they don't want to browse the internet randomly, and they don't want us to do that either. This is an AP 15500 that I got for a client last week. I just want to show what goes into actually buying something like this. The client did not want to wait for like the typical AD wait list, so we went gray for this particular watch. A really pretty piece. The box is gorgeous. This is the blue dial version of the 15500. It's really highly covetable. The secondary on this, it ranges from like 46,000 to like 58,000, depending upon a lot of different metrics or variables. Trying to buy a used watch like this one isn't the most straightforward thing in the world because not all watches, even the same piece, multiple iterations, aren't comparable. Does it have box and papers? When was it last serviced? Is there a warranty still? There are a variety of things that go into finding a watch like this. So I'm going to show you how we actually made a buying framework or matrix that accounts for a lot of the different variables that go into buying a watch like this, so we can make an apples to apples comparison, make sure the client's getting the best value possible, not necessarily the best deal. When you're looking at a watch, production year matters, the condition of the watch, and we did it from used to like new to new. Box and papers is obviously an option, but you can also have box only or papers only, so you need to have all three variables accounted for. Warranty remaining in years, last service date, we need to know how many, like what's the service interval for the watch. If you service it every 5 years, and this is 2025, and it was purchased in 2019, then you know that it's overdue for a service more than likely. We need to account for the cost of service and the aggregate price of the watch. The watch is priced at $40,000 and a service is $2,000. A true price for the watch is $42,000. Asking price is what the vendor actually is asking, like the list price for the watch. Any shipping costs are important. If there's tax, we're in Atlanta, shipping to Atlanta is 6% sales tax. And then if there's a return window or not. We want a client to have the chance to try the thing on and then have the chance to return it if they don't like the piece. Obligating someone to buy a watch or really anything isn't in our MO unless the client makes a very specific request and knows that there's no return policy. The way we do this is we factor in, based on like percentage ratios, what the thing is worth based on some of the variables that I just showed you. So condition factor takes into account what is the condition of the watch, and we assign it, 0.9, 0.95, or 1. So if it's new, it gets a 1. If it's like new, 0.95. If it's used, 0.9. So it's just adjusting the price relative to the cost, so we know if we're comparing a brand new watch and a like new watch and a used watch, and they're all priced the same, we can see what the true price for that watch would be. It's easy with whole numbers like that, but usually you're getting a variety of half numbers and percentages. So we want to know what is the effective asking price based on those condition statements to know the true price of the watch. And we use the exact same methodology for a couple of other things. So we factor in the age of the watch. We want to know if we're adding up not just the price of the watch, but plus tax and plus shipping. That's a more true comparison. Then there's the effective price plus fees involved. So we take that effective condition price, add in the fees like shipping, like tax, and give us a real price. And then we want to penalize the watch. If the watch, like I mentioned a minute ago, is a 2019 watch and it has a 5-year service interval, and this is 2025, comparing a 2019 watch and a 2024 watch of the same, let's say, reference number isn't a fair comparison because there's more age on that watch, which means you need to factor in the upcoming cost of service. That's what we mean by a service penalty. For us, it's penalized if it is older than the required service interval and if it doesn't have a stated recent service. The return factor is probably the largest kick for us. We penalize the watch pretty heavily if there is no ability for the client to return the watch after a brief viewing window. And that could be as short as like 2 or 3 days. If you're buying the watch final purchase, that's a real risk for you because you want to have your hands on it, have a chance to get it checked out third party just in case. Make sure you really love the watch. Even if you've seen a similar iteration of this watch before, you're buying this specific piece of gold or steel. Make sure that you love this exact model. Huge penalty for us if the watch cannot be returned, and we factor that in at a 10% or 0.9 to 1 ratio. We assign essentially a final price based on effective condition, effective fees, service penalty, and we adjust for all those things with the return factor to give us a final price, which you see here in column X, and then that gives it a desirability score over here in Y. We want to give it a composite score as well, but we really want to understand not just how good these watches are independently, but how do they rank one to another? And for us, that's the true rank. So you can see that the watches here, number one, which is row 18, is a 15500 from 2022, but it's new, box and papers, has 3 years of warranty remaining, which is great. The asking price is relatively low, no shipping cost, taxes of course, but it has a return policy, which is great. So that gives it a rank of 1. Let's briefly look at row 10, which had an effective lower asking price. However, row 10 is a 2019 watch. So in 2019, it's an older watch, so it has 0 warranty remaining here, no last service date. So you know you're going to tack on $1,500 just because of an upcoming service. That makes the asking price, they're asking $45,000 for it, plus they're charging you shipping costs, plus tax. Because the condition factor, which was listed as used, as opposed to in row 18, listed as new, cheaper, but used, it gets a hit in row 10 for condition factor, plus age, plus it gets docked a service penalty. Really, if you're looking at this watch, even though it was the lowest cost watch in pure numbers on this list, it ranks 12 because it has a final asking cost of $54,000, even though it looked like they were only asking $45,000 for it. Hope it's not too nerdy, but we're looking at a lot of different things that make your purchase an apples to apples comparison, a true comparison. And we do this in a variety of ways, not just for watches, shoes, for cars, for boats, making sure that when we buy something for you, it's as good, if not better than you would have done if you had bought it for yourself. Any questions after this extra nerdy bit, let me know in the comments about our buying methodology.